Cufflinks is a Python data visualization library that let us create interactive charts from Pandas Dataframe with just one line of code. We can create charts by simply calling iplot method on Pandas Dataframe. Now Cufflinks is built on a top of a Python libraries Pandas and Plotly. Hence Cufflinks charts are Plotly charts in reality. Now Cufflinks tries to mimic Pandas plotting API closely. Charts created using Pandas plotting API are static because they are based on matplotlib, whereas charts created using Cufflinks are interactive because they are based on Plotly. Now if you are someone who likes creating charts using Plotly but do not want to write many lines of code, then Cufflinks is the best solution for you. It's simple and intuitive because it's just one function call to create a chart. So that was a small introduction to the library Cufflinks. My name is Sunny Solanki, and in this video I will explain you how to create interactive charts from Pandas Dataframe using Cufflinks. We'll be creating charts in Jupyter Notebook. So if you're looking to learn something new today, you have come to the right place. Stay tuned. As you can see on my screen, I already have a Jupyter Notebook open. And at the beginning of the notebook, I have highlighted important sections of the tutorial. So we'll be covering different chart types like scatter charts, bar charts, line charts, pie charts, and histogram. We'll be covering variety of bar charts like horizontal bar charts, group bar charts, and stack bar charts, and also variety of pie chart, which is donut chart. So let's go ahead and import Cufflinks. So we have imported Cufflinks as CF and printed the current version, which is installed on my system. So it is 0.17.3 and this is the latest and stable version. So let's go ahead and load some data sets. Now we need some data to create charts. So I have decided to use two different data sets for creating various charts. So the first data set that we'll be using for our purpose is wine data set. Now this data set is easily available from Python library scikit-learn. And the data set, so let me execute the cell. Okay, so we have loaded the data set as Pandas Dataframe. Now dataset has information about various ingredients used in creation of different types of wine. So column names here are ingredients name, and there is one more variable name wine type, which is a categorical variable. So and it has three values, class 0, class 1, and class 2. It refers to three different types of wine which are available in this dataset. So this is the first dataset that we will use for our purpose. And the second dataset that we'll use for our purpose is Apple OHLC dataset. Now this dataset I have downloaded from Yahoo Finance as a CSV file and have loaded it in memory as Pandas Dataframe. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. The dataset has information about open, high, low, and close prices of Apple stock from 2019 to 2020. So this is the second dataset that we'll use for our plotting charts. So that's it. Let's move on and create some charts. So the first chart type that we'll cover in our tutorial is scatter charts. Now I want to create a simple scatter chart showing relationship between two ingredients from our wine dataset. So I'll be creating a scatter chart showing relationship between column alcohol and malic acid from our wine dataset. Now there are two different ways to create charts using Cufflinks. First is iplot method and second is figure method. So first of all, I will create a chart using iplot method. So I need to call iplot method on our wine df data frame, and the first parameter to this method is kind, which we specify what kind of chart we want to create. So in our case it's a scatter chart. Now we can specify, like for x-axis, what is the column name. So I want to use alcohol column values for x-axis. For y-axis I want to use malic acid, and the mode parameter which we need to provide, which we can set to markers. So what this will do is that it will create a scatter chart. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. Alright, so here we have our first scatter chart. So it was that easy to create a scatter chart. We were able to create a scatter chart with just one line of code showing the relationship between alcohol and malic acid. Now the mode parameters accepts more than one different strings. So we have set over here markers, but there is one more, like markers plus lines. If we set it to markers plus lines, then it will create line as well. between various points. So this was the first way of creating chart using cufflinks. Now this way of creating chart just simply displays a chart in Jupyter Notebook. It does not return anything. Now we can call figure method, which accepts same parameters as iplot method, but only difference is that it returns figure object which we can display. So we can use same code and we can just change method name from iplot to figure and it will return figure object. So there we go. Here we have a second scatter chart which we have created using figure object. Now we might need to use figure method if we are combining more than one cufflinks charts, then we need figure object. So okay, so let's move on. And so as you can see over here in this chart, it's a very basic chart. I don't have axis label, I don't have titles and so on. So let's go ahead and add those properties in our chart. So what I will do, I will copy our iplot method code that we had created earlier. And all right, so I can add title for x-axis using x title parameter, which I will set to alcohol. For y, there is a parameter named by title, which I will set to malic acid. In order to set title of chart, we can call parameter named title. So I will set it to alcohol versus malic acid. All right, so let me execute this and show you the result. Right, so now we have y and x and y-axis labels and chart title as well. So let's modify a few more parameters. We can specify figure size using dimensions parameter. So I will set it to, let's say, 800 by 500 pixels. Apart from this, we can specify color of the points using color parameter, which I will set to tomato. And then we can specify size of the point as well using size parameter. So I will set it to 10. And all right, let me execute this cell and show you the result. Okay, so now the chart size is modified. As you can see, now it's 800 by 500 pixel. We also modified the colors. Now if you want to use some other marker other than circles, so we have filled circles over here, and I want to use, let's say I want to use squares. So I can do that by setting symbol parameter. So I can set symbol parameter to square, and let me execute this cell. And yeah, here we have our scatter chart where all the points are squares. So it's that simple. This is just one line of code. We have spread it to more than one lines just for readability purpose. So let's go ahead. Now this was the default theme of our Cufflinks library. In Cufflinks library, let us set more than different kind of themes for our charts. So let me execute this cell. So these are the list of themes which are available from Cufflinks. So it's a ggplot, Perl, Solar, and few others. So how can I specify, how can I change the theme of this chart? Let's say I want to change the theme of this chart. So it's very simple. We just need to call theme parameter, and we can set its value to, let's set it to Solar. And let me execute this cell and show you the result. All right, so this way we can change the theme of our chart. If we don't like Solar, and let's say I want to use ggplot, then we can just change the value of theme parameter and the theme will be changed. Okay, so it's that simple to create a scatter chart. Now before we move on, let me create a one more scatter chart. So the scatter chart we created till now show the relationship between alcohol and malic acid, and all the points of the charts are colored with just one color. Now I want to create a scatter chart showing relationship between alcohol versus malic acid, but I want to color the points of the chart based on the wine types. So wine type is a categorical column of our data, and it has three different values: class 0, class 1, and class 2. And I want the points of our chart to be colored based on the wine type value of that point. So how can I do that? So there is a parameter named categories, which I can set to column name from our Pandas Dataframe. So I will set it to wine type. And I have removed markers symbol as a square markers because I want again circle markers. So when we set categories to wine type, it will take wine type columns data to color the charts points of our chart. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. Right, so it seems that it has not colored the chart. Okay, so there is a mistake from my side. So I have set color parameter to tomato, and which we don't need to set because the color values will be taken based on wine type. So that was a small typo from my side. So let me execute this cell, and yeah, here we go. Here we have our scatter chart where all the points are colored based on wine type. And let me change the theme as well. So how does it look with our default theme? Let's see. Yeah, now this one looks quite better. So yeah, keep this in mind. When you are setting categories parameter, remove color parameter. Otherwise you will be confused like why it is not taking colors. So yeah, that's it. So let's move on to our next chart type. The second chart type that we will introduce in our tutorial is bar charts. So I want to create a simple bar chart showing average value of one selected ingredient for wine types. In order to do that, I have created one more data frame from our original wine df data frame. So let me execute this cell and show you the contents of that data frame. So as you can see, this data frame has only 3 rows. So there is entry for class 0 wine type, class 1 and class 2. And values over here are average value of that ingredient for wine type. So 13.74 is average alcohol for class 0 wine type. So we'll create a chart using bar chart using this data frame. So let me copy some of our previous code so it becomes easy for us to write the code. Now over here, instead of wine df, I will be using average wine df. Kind parameter I will set to bar. For x-axis, I'll be using wine type. So on x-axis, I want to display wine types. On y-axis, I want to display flavonoids values. So height of the bar will be decided based on the value of flavonoids column. Now we don't need this parameter mode, size and categories, so I will remove them. Dimensions, let's keep it to 800 by 500. For x-axis, I will set wine type. For y-axis, I will set to average flavonoids. And title, I will set to average flavonoids per wine type. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. All right, so there you go. Here we have our first bar chart where we are showing the average value of flavonoids for wine type. If we want to change the color, then we can do it using color parameter. So let's say set it to tomato, and there you go. So it was that easy to create a bar chart, and we were able to create a bar chart with just one line of code. So let's move ahead and create a one more bar chart, which is horizontal bar chart. So sometimes you want your bars to be laid out horizontally. So how can you do that? So I have copied our previous code, and we'll be making just one minor change to this code, and we'll be able to create horizontal bar chart. So there is a parameter named orientation, which I need to set to H for horizontal. And this is the only change I need to make to our previous chart, and it will create a horizontal bar chart. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. Yeah, so here we have a horizontal bar chart. So it was that easy to create a horizontal bar chart. We were just able to modify our code by introducing this parameter orientation and set its value to H. So let's move on and create a one more bar chart which is commonly used, which is group bar chart. So over here I want to create a group bar chart showing average value of this selected ingredients for wine type. So I want to create a bar chart where I can see bars showing average value of this selected 5 ingredients. So how can I do that? So let me copy our previous code. We will keep majority of things same as earlier, and we only need to make few changes. So I will remove this orientation equal to H, and for x-axis we'll keep it a wine type. For a y-axis I will set its value to this list ingredients, and let's remove color parameter because it will select different colors for different bars based on ingredient name. And x title, let's keep it to wine type. Y-axis titles will be ingredients, like average ingredients, and let's change title as well. So let me execute this cell. I think we don't need to write anything more. So let me execute this, and yeah, there you go. Here we have our group bar chart. So as you can see, we can see there are average values of ingredients for wine type. So x-axis as wine type and y-axis as average values of the ingredients. So it was that simple to create a group bar chart. We are able to specify list of ingredients to y parameter, and we are able to create a group bar chart. Now let's move on and create a one more bar chart type which is quite famous, and that is stack bar chart. So I will again create a stack bar chart showing average values of selected ingredients for wine type, but this time the bars will be stacked over one another instead of laying out like this one next to another. So let me copy this code, and we will reuse our code from group bar chart and create the stack bar chart. And in order to create a stack bar chart using this setting, we need to make only one minor change. So there is a parameter named bar mode, and we need to set the value of this parameter to stack. So now it will stack bars one over another instead of putting them next to each other. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. All right, so there you go. Here we have our stacked bar chart. So it was that easy to create a stack bar chart. We were able to modify our code for group bar chart. We added a parameter named bar mode with value stacked, and we were able to convert our group bar chart to stack bar chart. So all right, let's move on to our next chart type. The third chart type that we'll introduce in our tutorial is line charts. Now we'll be using our Apple DF data frame, which we have loaded earlier, for creating line chart. So let me show you first few rows again to give an idea about the data of that data frame. So it has OHLC data. Now I will create a simple line chart showing close prices of Apple stock over time. So let me copy some of our previous code, and we will remove unwanted part as usual. So now this time we'll be using Apple DF data frame for our purpose. Bar kind will be line, x-axis will be date, y-axis will be close column where we have close prices. Let's remove dimension. We don't need bar mode parameter as well. And yeah, that's it. So let me modify x-axis and y-axis titles as well. Date and close prices in dollar. Apple close prices from 2019 to 2020. Right, so let me execute this cell and show you the result. There you go. Here we have our line chart showing movement of close prices of Apple stock over time. So I can modify like color using color parameter. Let's set it to Dodger blue. And if I want to modify width of the line, so there is a parameter named width. Let me set it to 3.0, so bit thicker. So let me execute this and show you the result. Yeah, so this one looks better. Yeah, so it was that simple to create a line chart using Cufflinks. Let's move on and create a one more line chart. So over here I create a line chart which had only one line. Let's create a one more line chart where we have multiple lines. So we have 4 different prices in our Apple data frame: open, high, low, and close. So let's plot all of them together. So over here for y-axis, we will set values to open, high, low and lows. So we have set y-axis values to list of column names. Let me remove color parameter, we don't need it anymore, otherwise it will create a confusion. So let me execute this cell and show the result. Let me modify this y title as well before executing. It's prices now, it's not only close prices, there are all prices over there. So let me execute, and there you go. As you can see, now we have open, high, low and close, all 4 prices displayed in our chart, and we can enable and disable the line from legends. Yeah, so it's that simple to create a line chart. Let's move on to our next chart type. So the fourth chart type that we will introduce in our tutorial is pie chart. I want to create a simple pie chart showing distribution of various wine types. So I have created a new data frame which is wine count. So let me execute this cell and show you what the data of that data frame is. So there you go. So now this data frame has 3 rows as usual, and the first row is, first column is wine type, which is class 0, class 1 and class 2. And second column is count of entries from our original data frame that belongs to that wine type. So there are 59 entries for class 0 wine type, 71 for class 1 and 48 for class 2. So we'll be creating our pie chart using this data frame. So let me copy our previous code, and we'll be using wine count data frame. Kind will be set to pie. Now rest of the parameters will be different. So labels will be set to, so there is a parameter named labels which will be used to label wedges of our pie chart. So that I will set to wine type. Now the values of that wedges will be specified using values parameter, which I will set to count. In title I will set to wine type distribution. And if you want to see like what is the percentage of values belonging to particular class, that you can do by setting text info parameter, and it accepts string like % plus label. So it accepts various strings like %, if you specify %, that it will only display % over there. % plus label will display % and wine type, and so on. So let me execute this cell and show you the result. All right, so here we have our pie chart. It was that simple to create a pie chart, and as you can see, there are label and % both are getting displayed. So let's go ahead and do one minor modification to this pie chart. Many times you will have noticed that one of the wedge of the pie chart is pulled little bit out. To give more importance to that wedge, or to draw people's attention to that wedge. So how can I do that? So I will copy our previous code, and there is a parameter named pull. Now this parameter accepts list with float values, and the length of this list is same as number of wedges, which is in our case there are 3 wedges. So for wedges for which we don't want to pull it out, we will set its value to 0.0, and the wedges for which we want to pull out, we can set its value to float, some float value like 0.1 or 0.2. and in our case we will be pulling wedge for class 1 little bit out. So first entry I have set to 0.0, second entry which is for class 1 I have set to 0.1, third one is again 0.0. So let's execute this cell and show you the result. As you can see, the entry for class 1 is pulled little bit out. So yeah, we can use pull parameters if you want to pull one particular age out, draw people's attention to that age. So let's go ahead and create a one more pie chart type which is quite famous, which is donut chart. Now I will remove this pull parameter. Now in order to create a donut chart, I need to make one minor change. So there is a parameter named all, and I can set its value with some float value in the range 0 to 1. So I will set it to 0.5. Okay. and this will create a hole inside of our pie chart. So let me show you. Okay, so there you go. Here we have our donut chart. So we just introduce this parameter hole equal to 0.5, and we will able to convert our pie chart to donut chart. So right, let's move on to our next chart type. The fifth and the last chart type that we will introduce in our tutorial is histogram. So I want to create a simple histogram showing distribution of alcohol values from our wine DF data frame. So let me copy some of our previous code. As usual, we reuse our codes. So over here I will specify wine DF data frame. Kind will be set to hist for histogram, and we don't need these other parameters. Other than that, let's specify the column name. So we can specify column name using keys parameter, which accepts list of column names from our data frame for which we want to create a histogram. So first we want to create a histogram of only one quantity, which is alcohol. And over here, let me set title to alcohol distribution, alcohol histogram, not distribution. And let's change the color as well to tomato as usual. And yeah, it's that easy to create a histogram. So let me execute this cell and show you our first histogram. Okay, so let me modify the number of beans to 50. Yeah, now this one looks better. So we can specify number of beans using beans parameter. So let's move on and create a one more scatter chart where I am showing distribution of more than one ingredients. So let me go ahead and select ingredients from our wine DF data frame. So let's select malic acid, ash, and the third, let's use flavonoids. So now I will create a histogram of three ingredients, which is malic acid, ash, and flavonoids. And as we are using more than one quantities, I will using color. I will remove color parameter. So, and I will say ingredients histogram. All right, so there you go. Here we have our histogram of more than one quantities. So yeah, that's it. So here is the summary of the chart that we have covered in our tutorial. Now, if you are interested in learning more about Cufflinks, then you can visit our website CoderzColumn, and you can simply search for Cufflinks over there. And we have a few tutorials on library Cufflinks, where we explain various chart types like how to create candlestick charts, how you can create maps like choropleth maps and scatter maps, how you can create dashboard by combining it with Streamlit. And this is the tutorial where we have explained Cufflinks in details. And over here we have covered many different chart types. So in our tutorial we covered 5 chart types, but over here we have covered many different chart types which you can explore. So yeah, that's it for the day. If you liked our video and if you learned something new today, then give it a thumbs up, and feel free to explore our website as well as our channel. We have plenty of tutorials on Python and various topics like AI, machine learning, data science, data visualizations, and so on. So yeah, see you next time.